Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming at you with another one. The video that I'm dropping tonight is going to consist of two things, so I need everybody to stick with me. The first one is, I don't know if anybody's heard or you haven't heard yet of a raid at a nightclub that they did in Colorado, where mostly illegal migrants were hanging out at, and there was a twist to it that I find to be very shocking and very disappointing. So we're going to dive into that. But the second thing I want to talk about also is something that's very important to the channel. So I'll try to make the first story as quick as possible. And there's something else that I need you guys to see that came to my attention. And it's really important that everybody watch that. It's important to the channel. So without further ado, let's get into this first story that came out, so you guys can see what we're talking about. Here we go. Sorry about that.
Local and federal authorities team up to make hundreds of migrant arrests in Florida. Operation Tidal Wave leading to the capture of nearly 800 illegal migrants in the span of just 4 days. Florida law enforcement working hand in hand with ICE to get the job done. And Governor Ron DeSantis praising the joint endeavor on X, saying Florida is leading the nation in active cooperation with the Trump administration for immigration enforcement and deportation operations.
This is something else, and this video goes on and on. This is 3 a.m. Sunday morning, Colorado Springs. In the end, there were about 300 people inside, about 100 said to be illegal, arrested over the weekend. Massive multi-agency raid at this underground nightclub. Rob Murphy is the principal deputy administrator of the DEA, which led the operation. And Rob, good morning to you. Nothing good happens at 3 a.m. I want to read you the president's post on X, and I want you to tell us everything we need to know. Here we go. Big raid last night. Some of the worst people illegally in our country, drug dealers, murderers, other violent criminals of all shapes and sizes. And judges don't want to send them back to where they came from. If we don't win this battle at the Supreme Court, our country as we know it is finished. It will be a crime-ridden mess. Make America great again, end quote. Rob, take me to Colorado Springs. What happened? Why the raid? How was it carried out? What was the net result?
Good morning, Bill, and thank you. Yes, 3 o'clock Sunday morning, this club was well known to law enforcement. We had numerous complaints over the last 2 years, violence, everything, drug trafficking. We knew what was going on there. We expected to find mostly illegal aliens inside the club. So there was a planned investigation for over a month. DEA did surveillance, controlled buys, everything else to develop what we needed. We knew that there was going to be armed personnel inside, security personnel who...
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there for a second. So for the past 2 years in Colorado, the place that they want to harbor illegal migrants, there's been complaints about this particular nightclub, and regular law enforcement and the powers that be did nothing about it. Okay, I've said this before, a lot of people have been saying it, the coordinated effort of the criminally minded that's in power, the way they can abuse their power, and instead of doing the right thing by upholding the law, no, they basically ignore, for whatever reason, what's going on. And if you say something, right away you're considered a racist. But yet, knowing that this nightclub is harboring so many people to come hang out, they could have easily gone in and done this the past 2 years, but no, even with all the complaints. And people wonder why Donald Trump and Tom Homan are taking the steps the way they're going down and arresting and hunting down the illegal migrants. I mean, it's not that hard of a job. You know, when Mayorkas and I forgot the other goon's name, saying that, you know, the gotaways, it was hard to track them down. It's funny how, 2-3 months into Trump's presidency, the way they're finding so many people. I mean, in the beginning of the news clip, it said in California alone, in Florida alone, they rounded up 800 illegal migrants, criminals, whatever the case is, within a couple of days. You mean to tell me that the Biden administration couldn't do that? They could have. They just didn't want to. And I hope that Cash Patel and them, if the FBI is in on this and the DEA, I hope that they go up and down the chain of command in Colorado to find out who was ignoring all the complaints. And I think they should be held accountable. Plain and simple. Okay? But the part of the story right here that really bothers me, I'll go back just about a minute, a few seconds, is, and this is going to piss off a lot of people, and I think it's very disgusting. Listen to what this man says.
Security personnel who were actually active duty military. So in the playing of this,
Yeah, you heard that right. The security detail at the nightclub was active duty military. I mean, it's just horrible. It's like, why? Oh, why? You are the first line of defense in this country. Okay? Why would you engage in something like this, knowing very damn well that the citizens of America depend on you to keep us safe, and you're out there doing armed security at a nightclub for that where there's illegal migrants, illegal migrant criminals, drug dealers, whatever the case is. I have family and friends that are active duty right now. And it's just so damn sad that there's got to be some people. Listen, you want to be a crooked general, whatever the case is, until they find you out and, let the U.S. government deal with it. But if you're just a regular serviceman, active duty, and that's another thing, I'd like to know. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with them, but it can't just go silent. And I'd like to know, like, what ranking these people had, okay, or what ranking they are. It's like, out of all the things that you could engage in to make extra money, whatever the hell the case is, why would you engage in something like this that's so damn criminal, man? What does that say about the training that's going on in the military? Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, it's up to the individual person. I get it. Okay? I get it. But, if it was one person, that's one thing. But a few of them, some higher up had to know. Okay? And if they didn't know, then some higher ups are not doing their jobs of knowing exactly what the hell their service members are doing on their own time. And if they were on their own time, you know what I'm saying? I'll get to it. Just one quick thing. One thing that I remember growing up in New York, hanging out at some of the bars. This reminds me of the college bars, okay, where they won't let in people that are not from the college in. They got to check your ID, so they're basically letting underage people into the bars to drink. But at the same time, they have a lot of cops, off-duty cops, watching the doors. And I always had a problem with that. And now here we are in another state, but this time it's with active duty military, service members. And it's like, what in the hell were you thinking to want to go and do something like this? And it makes you wonder. I'll get right back to it. It makes you wonder, if this has been going on for 2 years, you mean to tell me that for 2 years there's been complaints and nobody knew that these service members were acting armed security at this nightclub? I highly doubt it. But let's continue.
We have a pretty dangerous operation. We expected anywhere from 200 to 300 people in that club. There was over 200. We showed up pretty strong. All of our law enforcement partners, DEA, every federal agency, a lot of state and locals, and we made sure that we were able to contain safely everybody in there. Not everybody was in there doing illegal things, but the majority were. It resulted in about 115 illegal aliens that we've identified so far, and there were 17 active duty military, some of which were working at the club as armed security.
Rob, this could have gone sideways.
That's
It's 3
incredible.
o'clock in the morning, dark of night. Your men and women show up armed, and you don't know what's inside. How many members of TDA were arrested or other gang members that were illegal?
We're still working on the exact numbers. I know we've identified at least one Sinaloa cartel member. There were definitely MS-13 and TDA members. We're still working on the exact numbers. You're absolutely right, though, Bill. This was a potentially very dangerous operation. When we went in, somebody unknown to us sprayed bear spray, trying to prevent or hinder us from doing our operation. As you can see in the video, people ran in every direction. Especially the people that are in there illegally had nothing to lose. They were going to try to do everything they can to get out of there. We knew that there was armed, active duty military in there providing security. That gave a level of caution, and that's why we showed up with the president. We had over 300 law enforcement personnel, all working towards making this community safe. And from an tactical operational standpoint, it could not have gone any better.
Wow, how'd you keep it quiet? I wonder, because sometimes the word gets out and things leak. Let me read what Derek.
You heard what he just said? How do they keep it quiet? And it's true. How do you keep something like that for so long quiet? Even after the complaints. I think one report said that there was over 170 complaints made in the past 2 years about that nightclub. So how is all this kept hush-hush? I'll tell you how it's kept hush-hush. Somebody's getting paid. Some people are getting paid. That's just the bottom line. Okay? And I know they said it was a coordinated effort with different agencies. I get it, but you know what? Something tells me that the closest agencies working in that part of Colorado, they knew something about it, but they had to go along with the bust and play ball in order to cover up their steps. But it's going to get investigated. They're going to get found out, and they need to be held accountable.
Eric Maltz said, acting DEA administrator, said Colorado's ground zero, some of the most violent criminals in America. The command and control for TDA and the entire United States of America is right here in Colorado. Why Colorado? How do you answer that?
You know, I don't know. I can't answer that. I mean, listen, they're all over the country, and it's ground zero where you live if you've got them there. So our job in law enforcement, we've been tasked of getting these people out of the country. We have enough homegrown criminals. We don't need to import any. And we, since January 20th, law enforcement is working day in and day out to get especially the illegal criminal out of the country. Makes it easier for us, thin the herd, and we can get back to doing, making the community safer and working about the ones that are here legally.
Seems to me that the Douglas County Sheriff, Darren Weekly, cooperated in a significant way.
He did. And
is that right?
He did, and he was very vocal about it. Yeah, he did, and he was very vocal about it.
This is
so
crazy.
Thanks for coming on, Rob Murphy. I guess there's...
And that's what we got for that one. You know, that's crazy, but, you know, even he could be vocal about it, and, I mean, I want to think that he had no idea, but something tells me that in the sheriff's department, in the police department, other agencies, whatever the case is, and the military at this point, some people knew, and they kept it hush-hush. That's why it was able to continue for so long. Okay? And it's sad. It's very sad, but that's what I got in that story. The next video that I want to show you is very important to the channel, so I really need everybody to watch this, and I'll explain as we go. Here we go. Okay, so a couple of days ago, I was going to make a video on this, but I just wasn't feeling well. As everybody knows, what happened to me with the car accident a couple of weeks ago. But for some odd reason, this video popped up on my timeline, and I watched it. I've never heard of this man before, of this channel, I should say. Good guy, and it's called The Max, MAC''S. But for some odd reason, when I looked at the title, I was like, you know, let me check it out, because on the title up here it says, I got the call, the future of my channel, my personal story. Now, this guy is not a small channel, by far, okay? He's got almost 300,000 subscribers. But I want everybody to listen to what this man has to say, because it's important to the channel. And when he gets to the point, I'll let you know basically what I'm talking about. So I started it around the 4-minute mark. That's basically where he's going to start explaining what's going on with his channel and with YouTube. Here we go.
So anyways, I emailed our rep the other day and just said, hey, can y'all just look into this? I don't know if I'm banned. I don't know if I'm shadowed. I don't know if I'm ghosted. But bottom line is, this is our third time that we've reached out, and we're still feeling the same pressure. Nothing's getting better. We're losing, hundreds to, if not thousands, of subscribers almost daily, and it's almost like they see it, they know it. Because I'll tell you what she said. She said, "Okay, we'll look into it. We'll go through your channel and see what we can find, and from there, we can reach back out to you." So, anyways, long story short. A few hours later, I got an email saying, "Hey, we're going to schedule a call with you tomorrow. We want to reach out to you. Here's the times I've available. We're going to do a voice call or a chat call, whatever it is. But we're going to reach out to you. We see your numbers are down. We see that there's some problems there, not from our end, but we just need to talk to you about it." That's okay, no big deal. And for the longest, I kind of know this conversation's coming. It's inevitable, and I've told Misty that. Most content creators are in different genres and niches. Like they may be real estate, it may be entertainment. Like one of my favorite channels is Dude Perfect with my kids. We'll watch it, we'll enjoy them shooting things and entertainment, and we chuckle and laugh. I like Ryan Trahan and so forth. There's tons of channels like that, Hang Time and Mr. Beast, all these. So the entertainment part of YouTube is huge, and to be honest with you, YouTube in general is monstrous now. And again, it's been such a blessing to my life. So please don't take me wrong when I'm talking about the situation. So, anyways, they called me and said, "Hey, just of course went through the niceties and the just again thankfulness of taking the call." And they said, "Look, you're not shadowed. You're not ghosted. It seems like your channel is growing, and thank you so much for posting daily." And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And so then she said, "Well, what's on your mind?" I said, "Well, we've lost literally millions of views a month. We're actually posting more than we've ever had, and we're not getting anywhere with it." And again, I said, I personally, it's not money issues, nothing like that. It's just I feel like we can really impact and influence people, not in a way that changes their mind, but gives them something to think about. I said, that's kind of what our channel does. We're commentators, we're preppers. We talk about sustainable living. We talk about common sense and wisdom, and just really from a Christian perspective. And I said, I've been doing that for about 3.5, 4 years, that niche. Before that, we were just doing more homesteading. I said, of course, I have another channel that we do that with. And she said, "Have you ever thought about going back to that? I mean, that seemed like that worked out for you." And I was thinking, "No, ma'am, it really didn't. I mean, we couldn't get traction there, and I think people like the content we're doing now." I said, "That's why we've done it for so long, and we've been very successful up until just 2 or 3 months ago." I said, "It felt like we've been really held down by this platform." And she says, "Oh no, we're not holding you down, but we'll double check." And they went through and they said, "Look, you've got what they call a trusted level." They have superb level, trusted level, and there's like 2 or 3 more levels, meaning the content that you're putting across is actually what your video is supposed to be on with your thumbnail. Also what you say that you have in your video, because we have to go through a whole checklist of things we do and don't have in our videos. And we go through that checklist and go through the analytics check and so forth. And she said, you're at the second tier. The highest tier is hard to reach, and you're in the trusted high part of the second tier, and that's considered a great spot to be. It doesn't affect your money, it doesn't affect your impact. However, we just see that your numbers are down. And I said, "Yes, ma'am, that's what I'm trying to figure out." I said, even in our algorithm with other channels that are like mine, that have the same content, it seems like they're not as throttled down as mine. I said, for the longest we were getting millions of views a month, and now we're barely getting maybe 1 million. And I said, to be honest with you, at one time we were posting 16 to 25 videos a month, getting 2 or 3 million views, and now we're posting 35 to 40 times a month, and we're barely getting 1 million views. I said, now, hey, look, if people don't want to watch me or I get boring, no big deal. I understand. I said, however, if you look at our analytics, it just looks like, we go from here, we're going on this trajectory, and then all of a sudden, we've just been going downhill since then. If you look at my number.
Okay, and I want to cut it real quick. So far, you guys are getting the gist of what he's talking about. The one part right here when he says about the analytics, I've shown a couple of my videos that I've put out, and that line that he's talking about, that blue line, you'll see, which is the the typical retention. It'll say above typical retention. A video that I put out a few days ago that only got 16 views, when you look at that line, I mean, it's way above. I mean, towards the middle of the video, it's still at nearly 70% retention, which is very high. So now you hear what he's saying, that their retention goes up and then it just drops. So there's a reason for all this. Hear what he has to say.
As you can tell. So I said that just doesn't make sense to me, especially when we actually have more quote unquote likes and shares, and you can see those numbers in the analytics, than channels that have maybe double the views that I have. So like say I have a video at 25 or 30,000, I'll have more likes, more shares, more comments on that 30,000 view than someone in my same pattern that has 50, 60, 70,000 views, which is kind of what I was used to. But they won't have as many likes, comments, and shares. Mm-hmm. And I said, you've always told us that's kind of how y'all get your numbers, how you share our content, because people are liking it and wanting it to be shared, and they comment about it and things like that. She said, well, yeah, that has a lot to do with it. She said, but have you ever thought about just changing your genre, your niche? I said, well, if I try to change it, I don't know if people would want to watch me, because I think that's why people watch us, because the niche we're in. People like what my opinion may be. I said, and it may not be something they agree with, but they at least listen to it, so then they can, we can comment back and forth and have a great comment section where we can kind of pick each other's brain.
Okay, let me pause that real quick again. So you heard what he said, that he had more likes and stuff like that on the videos, but they weren't really going anywhere. I put a video months ago of a video that I put out when I first started the channel, and luckily I screenshotted everything, and looked it up when I seen it live on my laptop, on my iPad and all that. That on one video I had, and a few people have commented on it, they were like, how do you have 10,000 likes, but you only have like 4 views? And then like in 24 hours or whatever, it all like reset it. And this was in the very beginning of my channel, which makes me believe that I was onto something, and I probably would have got monetized with that one video. I probably would have had all the subscribers I needed, because the way I look at it, the analytics, it's 10% of what? If you get 100 views, you might get 10 likes. You get 1,000 views, you'll get 100 likes. So on and so forth. That's the way I see it. So I'm thinking, okay, if I got 10,000 likes on that one video, where are all the views? Okay? So I just feel that maybe they seen that my channel was going to blow up at that time really fast, but it was the content that they didn't like. So they stripped all that away. And then once again, 2 days ago, one of the videos that I put out, within the first half hour, or whatever the case is, I was up to 47 views. When I refreshed the page and came back about 20 minutes later, it was down to 42 views. And I'm like, what is going on? And just like this man, I brought up this fact multiple times to YouTube, and they keep saying, giving me all these excuses like, well, it's got to be the content, just keep pushing, do this, you got to go back and follow other videos you did that did better. And I'm noticing that a lot of videos that I do that gets pushed out a lot are not really along the line of bashing leftist politicians. So it's like, what exactly is going on? And this man will explain it right now.
She said, well, this platform, it seems like we do want to kind of look at selling some through your stores. And I said, well, I don't really do the store. And they're like, well, have you thought about membership? Well, I said, no, I'm trying to stay away from membership because we believe that we like free content, and that's why we do the ads. I said, so I would like to keep our content free on this platform for people to watch us. And so we have ads and things like that, we understand. But other than that, I don't want to have to paying to see me. And they said, well, have you thought about just changing your niche? And she said that again. I said, well, not really. I said, but what's really wrong with that? She said, well, with news and politics, there's a high vertical, and there's a lot of people that do well in there, but that's a big genre. And so what we've seen is a lot of channels in that niche may start struggling, and Because of that, we on this platform, we really don't want to. We're not really promoting those channels as much as we may do other channels.
And there it is. News and politics. YouTube told him when it comes to news and politics, they're not pushing these channels, which I call bullshit, and I'll tell you why. You go, I'm just going to pick one. You go to Midas Touch, which is the most disgustingly left-leaning YouTube channel and an entity there is. Because there's other people on YouTube that are part of Midas Touch. Like Tennessee Brando's one of them. And there's a few other ones that they get along with Midas Touch, and they do news and politics non-stop, all day long. All they do, every single one, from Beasley to Harry Sisson, Tennessee Brando, Midas Touch, the Angry Vet, what was the other guy's name? I did a video on Powell. All they do is bash people on the right and Donald Trump all day long, non-stop, and they get hundreds, if not millions, of views, and they got the subscribers. The problem is that YouTube is not pushing right-leaning news and politics as far as channels. And that is what the problem is with my channel, people. And I know a lot of people have been calling it, saying that I've been shadow banned, and this is what I believe has been going on. Because before I got monetized, I was getting, and if you don't believe me, you can go back to a lot of my earlier stuff. I was getting 500 views, 300, 500, 600. I was like, okay, this is going to be good. When I get monetized, I'm just going to grow momentum. As soon as I got monetized, all the impressions dropped, all the views dropped, and I've been losing subscribers. I've got nothing but I've got a lot of complaints from people saying that they've been unsubscribed, they had to resubscribe, that then their messages are being deleted, they're not getting notifications. And I reached out to YouTube. Now, I didn't get to speak to them on the phone the way this man did, but they said they spoke to me live through messaging. Okay, I say that because it could have been AI, I don't know. But all I got was that everything looks good. You just got to keep pushing. It's going to take time to grow. Don't give up. Don't give up. But what good is that if you're telling this man who's been around longer than me, he's got hundreds of thousands of subscribers, he's noticing a big dip in his views and impressions by the millions, that gives him no room to find new subscribers. And that's the problem with my channel. I truly feel that's what's happening. And since I'm a little more raw than some of the other right-leaning channels, okay, that I was probably growing momentum rapidly and they didn't want it. Because I, for the life of me, cannot understand why is it so hard for me to average just a measly 100 views per video. But yet I post my videos on X and on Truth Social so other people can see it. I get compliments from both platforms there. On Rumble, I'm averaging an easy 60, 70, 80 views per video. Okay, albeit Rumble is a smaller platform. And I get compliments and I get messages. But when it comes to YouTube, as soon as I got monetized, I seen all that drop. And I think it has to do, in all honesty, with my content, like this man is saying, and it's probably something to do with a lot of advertisers that maybe they don't want to have their ads put on channels like mine, or is just that YouTube rather have a strong leftist leaning content creator platform than right leaning. Which is sad. It's very, very sad. Because you're basically telling, let's just say in the United States, since the majority of people voted for Donald Trump, 76%, you are basically telling 76% of the people in the United States to go kick rocks. You know, I put a lot of time and effort into this, people, and I've been trying so hard. But I'm not going to gain subscribers if my videos are being suppressed. If they don't push them out, they're saying that they are, but they're not. The last video I put out a couple of days ago, they pushed it out 396 times. That's it. That's it. Meanwhile, when I look at the analytics and it shows how many of my subscribers are returning, okay, that have their notifications on for my channel, it's nearly 600. So YouTube is not even pushing out my video to the 600 that have a notification for my channel, my videos. They're not even pushing out that many per video. So if a lot of my subscribers are saying I didn't get the notification, even though I have punched in on my notifications, how am I supposed to reach new people if they're not putting me on the main page? But yet I'll see some new startup left-leaning channel, and they grow. I mean, they're only like a couple of months old, maybe a year, and they're growing momentum like there's no tomorrow. And I'm like, I find that hard to believe. I truly believe that if there's something going on, that the right-leaning channels, if there's something going on and they stopped, that the right-leaning channels would explode way beyond than the left-leaning channels. But there's nothing I can do. And like I said, it's funny that this video came up on my timeline because I wasn't looking up anything like this to get. Albeit I'll look at videos on how to grow, different styles of thumbnails, just different things to try to figure out what to do. But then this popped up and I watched it, and my question has been answered. I mean, this is the closest thing I could find as an answer to what's going on with my channel than what anybody else has told me. Because believe me when I tell you, when I do everything to a video that everybody talks about, that for it to get pushed out, I'm talking from keywords. I mean, the paragraphs I gotta write. I mean, I'm incorporating everything, checking, every button that needs to be turned on. I mean, I'm trying to watch what I say, and I'm gaining no momentum. And it's very heartbreaking to me because I started this channel for a reason. That was to spread awareness and do good, not to hurt anyone. But it just seems that, you know what? Like this man who is there in the top tier, if he is getting suppressed, what does that say about me and my channel? Now, don't get me wrong, people. I love you guys, and I want to do this with all my heart. And I pray to God every day to help me with this channel. But I don't understand how YouTube expects people to love their platform, grow on their platform, and yet the cat's out the bag of what this man was being told on the phone about changing his niche because they're not really pushing channels like ours. It's very disheartening, people, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know what to do on my part when it comes to this channel. I'm not shutting the channel down, nothing like that, don't get me wrong, but it's just that I don't know how else to push my channel to get more subscribers. The reason why they won't do it to a lot of the other bigger channels like Benny Johnson and them is because they have such a major following, millions of subscribers, that they won't lose momentum. They won't. But I don't have that many subscribers. By all intents and purposes, every analytic that I've seen, especially coming from YouTube themselves, my channel should be right now at anywhere between 10 and 15,000 subscribers. From the time I started, the amount of videos I put out, the amount of views I got, by their analytics and analytics of other content creators that do this for a living, all say the same thing. Your channel should be at this point. Why it's not? Nobody has an answer. The answer's there. We know what the answer is. And it's very disheartening for me. It truly is. You know. Am I right leaning? Of course. But a lot of my content also I have incorporated where I feel for both parties. People on both sides. I've done that many a times because it's the truth. I'm not going to be ignorant like all these left-leaning channels like Midas Touch and Tennessee Brand and the rest of them that keep editing footage just to stoke hate into people's minds and hearts. Just to make it seem like only their party, the people on their side, are the ones that are right. But it just seems no matter what I do, I'm not gaining any momentum. This poor man, they're losing momentum. I'm not gaining momentum. As a matter of fact, in the past few days, I've lost about 10 subscribers. And I think it's because maybe, okay, I don't think it has to do with my content. I think it's because they're probably getting unsubscribed. They're getting tired of it, and they're just like, forget it. Or they just don't know that they've been unsubscribed. You know? I mean, I just don't get it. And it's very disheartening. And all I ask is that anyone watching, if this is your first time, please join the channel. If you've been watching the channel, I ask everyone to pray for the channel. Pray for me that it'll grow, be very prosperous. That whatever or whoever it is that is trying to suppress people like me and this man and others, that God would bind them and keep them out of the way and help us grow to keep putting out truth and awareness. You know? Because if this keeps up, man, I don't even know what happens if the channel just keeps dropping, if that will affect YouTube to come out and say, well, your channel's not doing good, and it'll get down to, we're not pushing out any content. You can make the videos, but we're not going to bother putting them out because you're not getting enough views for the ads to be pushed out and them to make money off your videos. I mean, I don't know. I have to be realistic here. And it weighs very, very heavy on me. Believe me, it does. But anyway, that's what I got for you. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, pass the channel around. And if you can help support the channel, there's a link in my description to my Cash App and my merch store. So remember, people, stay vigilant. Keep praying. Keep praying for each other. Keep praying for the women and the children. Pray for this country. Pray for your enemies. Pray for Donald Trump. And don't forget to pray for all the missing children that they brought across the border. Peace.